What if I'm not smart enough to be a developer? As far as I can tell, everyone has had this fear at some point or another. If you're not familiar with imposter syndrome, it is essentially just self-doubt. It's the psychological pattern where people don't believe their accomplishments. They can't internalize them, and they fear that maybe they've just achieved what they have achieved based on luck or being in the right place at the right time, or other people have helped them too much and they shouldn't be able to claim accomplishments for themselves. So they end up with this fear that other people are going to find them out and expose them. This pattern is really common among professionals across all industries, especially industries that tend to be in the creative space. Software engineers, they have the word engineer in their title, but really they're creative problem solvers. They're creative problem solvers, but before they solve problems, they have to learn an entire new system of communicating. Now, even before I started to learn how to code, I saw this very strong correlation. It seemed like learning how to code was very similar to learning a spoken language. I have experience learning Spanish and learning German, and learning code is a very similar process. Now, I don't know maybe when the last time you or somebody that you know was that they didn't know a language, didn't know any words, went from knowing 0 words in that language to all of a sudden within 12 months being able to create some sort of work of art, like a novel or a book of poetry. In my experience, that doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen. People need time to learn. It takes time. And unfortunately, learning opens us up to the possibility of feeling stupid. Imposter syndrome is something that I struggled with severely my first year as an engineer. But why is it so common? Well, from an evolutionary perspective, it helped us. It was something helpful. We have a lot of different parts of our brain working together, and one part down way, way low in the brainstem is called the amygdala. It's a really small part of your brain, and its purpose is to scan your environment constantly and watch out for anything that would cause danger. It could cause danger physically, it could cause danger emotionally, but it is looking for the danger signs. Thankfully for us, this day and age, the physical dangers it's looking out for have been greatly reduced compared to the days when we would be chased by a tiger on your random Tuesday. Humans are a tribal animal. Humans became so successful and were able to take over the world in the way that we have because we learned how to communicate with each other. We learned how to work in groups. We learned how to communicate the dangers that existed. So people that were able to work well with each other thrived in these tribes. It's in our best interest to look out for each other and to worry about what we can bring to the group. If you make the tribe unhappy, oh, good luck to you, because you're going to get kicked out. You can start to imagine why it's so important for your amygdala to be scanning the group and be worried about what other people are thinking of you. Your job as part of the group was to make sure that other people saw you as being good enough. People who had weaker amygdalas or for some reason didn't value what the tribe thought, they got kicked out and they had a lesser chance of passing down their genes to us. Our brains really are pre-wired to care about what other people think of us. It doesn't really serve us in this day and age, but it's there. And again, unfortunately, in this day and age, the more the amygdala goes unchecked and just is allowed to roam free and find all the danger it can, the stronger it gets, the better it is at finding that danger, and something that isn't even dangerous or is mildly dangerous could be detected as a great danger. Hopefully it's coming across that the reason that so many of us experience imposter syndrome and this self-doubt is because it is deeply rooted in our brains. We have evolved to be this way, but it doesn't mean that we have to just accept this as our reality. We are able to do things to change. The temptation is to think that the more you know, the less imposter syndrome you're going to feel. And that's dangerous because I know plenty of PhDs, I know plenty of professionals at the top of their game who have crippling imposter syndrome. Now, I do think that continuing to grow, continuing to learn is a very important part of counteracting imposter syndrome. However, the most powerful way that we can counteract imposter syndrome is counteracting the amygdala. Your prefrontal cortex is responsible for focus. It's responsible for reasoning. So if you are able to strengthen your prefrontal cortex by focusing and by using your analytical muscles, you're going to make it stronger, and the stronger you can make the prefrontal cortex, the weaker the amygdala becomes. So what sort of things can you do to make this part of your brain stronger? Well, any mindfulness exercises like meditation or just breathing exercises. My favorite, and one that I hear a lot of other people respond to favorably, I put a little reminder in my phone. I put it in my calendar to go off every single day at a time when I know I'm going to be around my phone. And it literally just says, talk, ? And at that point, I take the time to reflect on my day, and I think, was I kind to myself in my thoughts at all today? When I first started this, the answer was no. I was terrible to myself, but checking in on it made me aware, made me mindful of that happening. If you'd like to meditate, there are plenty of guided meditation apps out there that work wonderfully, or you can just be really simple and kind of sit in a chair with a timer and just try to focus on maybe a noise in the room or maybe focus on your breathing. Start small. Start with maybe 5 minutes. And of course, your mind's going to wander away. But the point isn't to just get rid of all of your thoughts. The point is to just be aware of what the thoughts are that you're thinking. Just notice this all happening and just let there be a little bit more space than there once was between the thoughts and you. These patterns are like a really, really tightly wound knot. And the point of mindfulness is just to start loosening that knot a little bit. Eventually, we'd like to unwind it and really be able to conquer the imposter syndrome in general, but right now, just work on loosening it with the mindfulness. If this is something that you've been struggling with on the job, there are resources out there. This is a topic that I want to also visit frequently on my channel because it is very important to me. It's important to me because I experienced such severe imposter syndrome, and I believe it's just really deeply intertwined with becoming a junior engineer. Unfortunately, knowing the facts just isn't enough. There's a lot of inner work that has to go along with learning about what's going on in the brain. And therefore, I do recommend working with a coach or a therapist to work through some of this stuff. I'm a software engineer, and I'm also a certified confidence coach. I have been working with developers through their journey dealing with imposter syndrome. If you'd like to work with me for coaching, check out the description below and you're gonna find my website. That's all for this video, so stay safe out there.